Yo, what's up? What's up? It's your boy Domuto. We're back with another video. I don't know why I did that. All right. Today we're watching Carthu's Dojo. This is gonna be a part 2. What if Goku was sent to Beerus planet? Bonus part 2. I watched bonus part 1, and I watched the original. What if Goku was sent to Beerus? The hour is a nice hour-long video, but I think it's a good reaction. I have that all at the end of the video, or you'll see it across my head eventually. But yeah, this is a pretty good story, man. Shout out to Carthu Dojo for this, and let's get into it.
God of Destruction Kakarot has brought peace to Universe 7. After teaching Jiren the value of trust and teamwork rather than strength above all else, he returns to his home. But ever since he visited the other universes, something has been bothering the God of Destruction. And of course, Whis is the first to notice it. My lord, you seem a bit distracted since our trip. Is there something on your mind, perhaps? Kakarot tells Whis that the Saiyans of Universe 6 have him thinking. He was always taught that the nature of the Saiyans was violent and cruel, a cycle they couldn't ever escape. He thought himself to be lucky, sent to another world as a child and escaping that vicious life. But the Saiyans of Universe 6, genetically nearly identical to Kakarot's own people, are not malicious or genocidal at all. They're a kind, helpful race for the most part, and if anything, the Saiyans of Universe 6 are not only better than the Saiyans of Universe 7, they're better than most civilizations in general. Whis tells Kakarot that things like this can't cloud his mind. Ultra Instinct requires a clear head, and to use destruction requires sole focus. Being able to balance his mind is required for these powers to work. Kakarot is aware of that, but shaking this off won't do him any good. It'll just haunt him in the future. For now, he needs to learn more about the Saiyans of Universe 7. He needs to learn more about his own people. Whis lets out a sigh, but he has no choice. At some point, Kakarot's lack of work would lead to distraction. Indulging it from time to time could help him keep on the right path. Kakarot chuckles, knowing fully well that Whis couldn't stop him even if he wanted to. Whis interrupts the laughter to ask where they're going first. Kakarot tells Whis that they have to visit the only other living Saiyan. Before joining King Cold, perhaps Broly has some recollection of their people. Whis packs a lunch, and soon they're headed off to the Galactic Patrol headquarters, the place where Meris is keeping an eye on Broly and even training him. Once they arrive,
he do got
tells
Broly.
Whis and Meris to leave them alone for a minute. He'd rather them talk about this in private. Once they exit the room, Kakarot starts by asking Broly how he's been, and Broly replies with a blunt but genuine good. Kakarot is happy to hear it and tells Broly that he needs his help. Broly is older than Kakarot by 5 years, the same age as the Saiyan Prince, Vegeta. Years ago, when Kakarot met Vegeta, the prince seemed to have a lot of knowledge about their people. Considering the two of them are the same age, Broly might know some things as well. Broly apologizes to Kakarot and says he doesn't know anything about the Saiyans. He has no memories of living on planet Vegeta ever, and the memories he does have of his childhood are fuzzy at best. Kakarot lets out a sigh and tells Broly to come with him and Whis. They need to discuss some things that may rekindle Broly's memory. So as quickly as they came, they left. Meris is a little worried, but he trusts the God of Destruction. Back on Kakarot's planet, he tells Whis to restore Broly's memories. It's been long enough that Broly should be able to understand that what they did was for the greater good. Broly looks confused, but with a tap of Whis' staff, that confusion turns to anger. As the memories flood back, his body begins to enlarge and his eyes turn yellow. Whis asks Kakarot if he's sure that this was a good idea, but Kakarot tells Whis it's fine. He never intended on keeping this a secret forever. Broly, now in his Ikari form, asks Kakarot where his father is.
Your father was a bad man, Broly. He had to be destroyed for the greater good. I'm sorry.
That was not what Broly needed to hear.
Oh,
his
shit.
body changes again, and his hair turns
shit.
the golden color of a Super Saiyan. These are things Kakarot has never seen before. The Ozaru form, the God Ki form he uses as his base form, and Ultra Instinct are the only Saiyan transformations Kakarot is aware of. With the power Broly has on display now, this will not be as simple as he thought. Broly quickly charges in, but Kakarot blocks the attack. The form is powerful, but what's worse is Broly's been trained. Meris has done a good job with him, but that may cause an even greater issue for the moment. As they exchange blows, Kakarot tells Broly to calm down and think about it.
Your father didn't love you. At least not anymore. He trained you as a weapon for revenge and sold you to a tyrant for his own freedom.
Broly didn't want to hear it. His power grows even larger, with his hair now turning green. Kakarot is fighting evenly with Broly at this point, but he needs the edge to get through to him. In an instant, he activates Ultra Instinct and takes control once again.
I don't care if you hate me for it, but you're a good person, Broly. I won't let this universe lose good people like you.
With that, Broly's pupils return to his eyes and he begins to regain his self-control. Tears begin to build before he returns to base form. Broly is on the ground, trying to hold back his emotions as he says,
My father, he was all I had.
Kakarot reaches out a hand to Broly and says,
Not anymore.
With the conflict resolved, Whis flies over and heals both of them. Kakarot helps Broly up and asks if he can remember anything of their people, but Broly says all he can remember is his father hating the royal family. King Vegeta exiled Broly to Vampa as a baby, and that was the root cause for their life of suffering on the planet. That isn't the answer Kakarot was looking for, but he's at least happy that Broly was able to escape the life.
He can revive Vegeta or something?
Tells Broly that they're going to learn the truth about their people and asks if he
That
wants
probably
to
been a
join them.
crazy
Broly
ass
nods
fight.
and Kakarot tells Whis to pack some more lunches. Seems like this is going to be a long day. Whis asks where they're headed next, and Kakarot says he needs the Dragon Balls, but the Super Dragon Balls would be a waste, so they're headed to planet Namek. Once they arrive on planet Namek,
You gotta
Whis
revive
introduces
Vegeta,
the three
okay.
of them, and they speak to the Grand Elder of the Namekian people. At this point, Guru has long since passed away due to old age, so Elder Mori is the Grand Elder of Namek, and the person tied to the Dragon Balls. Kakarot tells Mori of his struggles and asks if he could use the Dragon Balls to learn things about his people. Mori asks to read Kakarot's mind, and Kakarot obliges. Mori sees the thoughts that haunt him, the vastness of his responsibility, and the weight it burdens him with. To do something like this, something for himself, was not something the god of destruction had ever thought to do before, but his own desires had been neglected for so long that something like this was bound to consume him eventually. Mori says that the Dragon Balls aren't supposed to be used for one's own desires, but in this case, they'll make an exception. Kakarot lets out a smile and thanks the Grand Elder. Quickly using instant transmission, Kakarot teleports around Namek and collects the Dragon Balls. Once he collects the other Dragon Balls from the Namekian villages, he gets the final one from Elder Mori himself. Before the wish is made, the Grand Elder informs Kakarot that the Namekian Dragon Balls can make 3 wishes and that he must choose his questions carefully. Kakarot nods and says he'll think of something, but Elder Mori says he found something that might give him an idea. In the Namekian Book of Legends, a prophecy about a Super Saiyan God is held within. It even tells you how to make a Super Saiyan God via a ritual requiring 6 Saiyans in total. Kakarot thanks Mori and says he'll start with that. So they summon Purunga, who is humbled to be of service to the God of Destruction. His first wish is to learn more about the Super Saiyan God. Purunga says that Kakarot is the Super Saiyan God, though he circumvented the ritual to become one. Whis hypothesizes that the ritual was a way to access God Ki as a Saiyan without needing to train. Purunga nods before further elaborating. He tells Kakarot that the ritual has never been used. It is the result of the soul of a Saiyan named Yamoshi, the one who first became a Super Saiyan. Kakarot doesn't know what a Super Saiyan is, but for now it doesn't matter, so he tells the dragon to continue. Purunga goes on about a Saiyan civil war that happened about 1,000 years ago. Yamoshi led a group of pure-hearted Saiyans that sought a better future for their people, while the other group desired conquest and bloodshed. Despite awakening the power of a Super Saiyan, Yamoshi and his 5 closest allies fell in the final battle. This moment was what Kakarot sought to learn about. The decision. No, the destiny that befell the Saiyan race was all due to one battle over 1,000 years ago. If Yamoshi won, then the Saiyans would have prospered like in Universe 6. He wouldn't be a god, Broly wouldn't have suffered on Vampa. Things just might have been better.
I like how you tied all that in.
Changing
Okay.
the past isn't allowed,
Okay,
but more
Carthu.
importantly,
All right, Carthu.
it isn't going to happen. So he continues to listen. When Yamoshi fell, his soul did not go to the afterlife. He was forced to wander the universe formless in the pursuit of a new savior for the Saiyans. So when 5 Saiyans pour their hearts into another, Yamoshi's wandering soul will bestow that 6th Saiyan with the power of the Super Saiyan God. And that is everything Purunga knows about the Super Saiyan God. Whis is intrigued by the mechanics of the ritual. Perhaps the pooling of purity into one Saiyan creates a ki density that allows for God Ki to manifest. As for Yamoshi's soul, he posits that the Saiyans who killed him may have been so evil that they were classified as demons, since dying to a demon does cause a soul to wander instead of going to the afterlife. But there's no time to think about that. because Kakarot was moving on to his second wish. Kakarot asks Porunga what a Super Saiyan is. The dragon had mentioned it earlier, but Kakarot has never heard of such a thing. Porunga nods and gives Kakarot the explanation he seeks. As he said, 1,000 years ago, Yamoshi became the first Super Saiyan. According to legend, the Super Saiyan is a Saiyan of pure heart awakened by rage. Whether it be the loss of a comrade or something else, legend says rage is the key.
You're not gonna get away with this.
Heart. The form is known by its golden hair and aura, a trait unlike anything normal Saiyans have. It is also said that one Super Saiyan can be born every 1,000 years, but Porunga adds that that part may simply be mythology rather than fact, since Yamoshi has been the only Super Saiyan in recorded history. As a final point, Porunga adds that the one known as Frieza, the very tyrant Kakarot had slain, wanted the Saiyans dead to avoid the birth of a Super Saiyan or a Super Saiyan god. Porunga snickers a little when saying that he clearly failed in that pursuit. Both Kakarot and Whis look to Broly, who, having not seen his own reflection when a Super Saiyan, is just confused. Once again, Whis can't help but think about this Super Saiyan more mechanically. In the past, Whis only knew that Saiyans could become great apes, but Kakarot and Broly both have unique transformations even beyond the great ape. These multitude of forms may be a sign that Saiyan DNA is simply more inclined to transform when necessary to adapt. This probably means that despite the wording of the legend, purity and rage are simplifications of a more complex genetic process. Kakarot waves his hands in front of Whis and asks what he's doing. No time to have his mind wander, it's time for them to go back home. Whis asks about Kakarot's third wish, but he says he doesn't need it, though he quickly thinks and goes back to Porunga. He wishes that Porunga protects the Namekian people and lets them prosper along with the universe. Porunga bows and says he will grant the wish as best as he can before scattering back into 7 Dragon Balls. Kakarot thanks Elder Mori for his help.
Man, you should revive Vegeta, man.
Broly. They have some things to
That'd been
discuss
fire.
once they get home. Once they arrive, they explain to Broly that he used the Super Saiyan form. Broly didn't know he could and said it just happened because he was angry about his father. Kakarot asks Broly to describe the feeling of transforming, but Broly can't really recall. Once he was consumed by that rage, it completely took over, and he didn't have any self-control, and by extension, he doesn't remember much. Kakarot lets out a chuckle and says,
The whole point of this was for me to better understand where I came from, to ease my mind so I can focus on where I'm going. It's probably for the best that I have to do this the hard way.
Whis tells the God of Destruction that he has an idea for accessing the form with training, but Kakarot asks,
Do that little
Whis if he
tingly
even listened to
feeling
what
on
he
your back,
just
like
said.
the Universe 6
Learn
shares.
God Ki and Ultra Instinct by calming myself down, holding power in. Letting loose just seems fun compared to that.
Whis lets out a big sigh. No matter how hard he tried to make Kakarot the perfect God of Destruction, at the end of the day, he still shows remnants of being a Saiyan, being what we would call Goku. So Kakarot begins to think about what would make him the most angry. He thinks of the loss of the universe, but that doesn't work. Thinks of losing his only companion, the only other remaining Saiyan, Broly, but that doesn't work. Then he thinks about Yamoshi, dying for a cause he believed in, only for things to get worse than ever before. A fate he's scared will befall himself. And that works. With his previous training and ability to use 2 transformations already, only a little rage is required to obtain the form. But this rage is Kakarot's purest. Above all else, he wants to leave this universe better than he found it, and make sure the future has a vision to follow. He wants to do what Yamoshi couldn't. Whis is shocked to see that the hair color doesn't match the description given by Porunga or either of Broly's forms. Kakarot asks what he means, and Whis tells him to look at his reflection. Kakarot looks in the water to see his hair isn't a beautiful gold, but instead a shade of blue. Now there's another form they know nothing about. Kakarot says he'll try again, but after some thought, Whis stops him. I doubt the Super Saiyan was ever something that used God Ki. Without realizing it, you've combined your red-haired God Ki form with Super Saiyan to make something entirely new. Broly asks why isn't it orange if it's yellow and red being combined, but Whis shrugs and says DNA doesn't work like crayons. With that done, Kakarot returns to his Super Saiyan God base form, and is happy to have attempted the form, but doesn't foresee it being very useful in the future. It did, however, make another thought he had become very real. Kakarot asks Whis if the Ultra Instinct form he uses is something every Ultra Instinct user has access to, but he shakes his head. He tells Kakarot that he's the first person to ever have a transformation that uses Ultra Instinct. After everything today, he
Oh,
feels
wow.
convinced that Saiyans are just innately more likely to transform when the situation or ability requires a physical change to use more accurately. In this case, Ultra Instinct and God Ki are two examples. Kakarot smiles and says that's exactly what he wanted to hear. Without another word, Kakarot begins to focus. His fear of being a failure in death, the weight of the Saiyan's tragic past, and even the chains around his own desires. He lets everything go. The eternal mantra of the gods of destruction echo in his mind. Before creation comes destruction. When he opens his eyes, power begins to flow from
Oh,
him. It's power
shit.
similar to that of Ultra
Ooh.
Instinct, but he feels no need to dodge. It's almost as if his body is choosing not to. Whis is shocked by what he's seeing and asks Kakarot what this form is, but he doesn't answer.
Hey, Broly! Attack me with everything you have!
Broly is shocked by the request, but does it. He turns into his Ikari form, the only power he has control over, and charges in. In an instant, the punch connects, and Kakarot chuckles.
Thought so.
Broly is confused, but then he feels the insurmountable pressure building in front of him. Whis feels it too. Kakarot is getting stronger. The power flowing out of his body is exactly what he expected. It's intoxicating, but he knows he has to control himself, so he lets the power dissipate and returns to his god base form. Whis asks again what that was, and Kakarot tells Whis that he never felt confident in using the powers of destruction. He was good enough, but he was right to assume that his body was holding him back. A transformation was needed to fully draw out the powers of the gods of destruction. Whis congratulates him on this discovery and realizes that all of this may have been for the best after all. The god of destruction improving his ability to destroy is ideal after all, but Kakarot says that he'll probably never use it again. He tells Whis that it made him primal. He lusted for power and battle with no regard for anything, even himself. He had to destroy everything he was in order to create a new power, the mantra of the gods of destruction. Just like the gods themselves, that idea is flawed. If you solely focus on destruction, you'll never create a better universe. He's still happy to have tried the transformation. That power perfectly reflects the Saiyans of Universe 7 and their own flaws. It doesn't matter if your ego lets you keep getting stronger
Fly in
from
my
the
room,
attacks
throw
of
me
others.
off.
Eventually, someone will just hit you hard enough that you die. Whis is happy at least that that's the conclusion he's come to, and Kakarot stands smiling proudly on his world. He quietly thanks Yamoshi for his sacrifice. He'll take that brighter future Yamoshi wanted to make for the Saiyans and spread it to the entire universe. It would all work out in the end. Make sure to like and subscribe.
That was a clean. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of clean. I like how he got the ultra ego form and shit, or the god of destruction form. Goku seemed like a good ass guy, man. He seemed like he the best guy I ever seen in that fucking show, or in that whatever in Dragon Ball Super. But yeah, I don't know. Shout out to Goku, man. Shout out to Carthu Dojo for the story. I like the both the bonus parts, so this is great. And you like my reaction, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, catch y'all later.